Welcome back. The price of compressed natural gas (CNG) has surged from 230 naira to 450 naira per standard cubic meter. Now that's nearly a 100% hike, following the federal government's quiet withdrawal of subsidies. Now, while the government touts CNG as the future of clean, affordable transport, drivers are stuck in kilometre-long queues, paying more for a fuel they were promised would be cheaper, in short, than petrol.
Trucks now pay 415 naira per litre. Commercial vehicles get a partial subsidy to 380 naira. But even that's a steep climb from what we saw earlier, where it was just 230 naira. We saw just months ago. Now, here's the kicker. Some drivers spent up to 1.5 million naira converting their vehicles to CNG. Now, they're being forced back to petrol because refilling stations are either empty or overwhelmed. So we ask, is this a policy failure or growing pains of a bold energy transition? Joining us for this discussion is a team lead, Platform Africa, Mr. Adeola Yusuf. Good morning, Mr. Adeola. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Government removed petrol subsidies in 2023. We saw the pushback on that, and then they encouraged everyone to transition to CNG. CNG was the preferred pushed alternative. Now, CNG is nearly as expensive and far less available. Was this rollout maybe thought out properly? Is this a mistake, or is this just maybe birthing pains that the CNG users are experiencing at this point?
Okay, thank you so much for having me. A bit of background information to this. Nigeria is a country that is sitting on over 260 trillion standard cubic feet of gas. Nigeria has been described on many fora to be a gas haven. That means that Nigeria has more gas than oil. A lot of activities have been going on around oil, and the government is painting the picture to Nigerians that gas is the future. In fact, when subsidy was removed through the what we call the Igbo Square Declaration of Subsidies gone by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on May 29, 2023, what we were told is that gas will take place and gas will mitigate the effect. So now this is happening to gas. And fact remains, another background is that this CNG we are talking about is different from the LPG. LPG is the one that is used for cooking our home in our various homes. But this CNG, it is one that is used, for higher scale mechanical equipment like the car, some generators, industrial generators, and all that. So this is now happening to the CNG. One thing I love about what you have just said is about policy, but this. The best way of call this is something that tremendously affects businesses, whether we like it or not. That the vehicles that are been buying this product at 290 naira before now, that will now be buying it at over 400 naira, about 450 naira, will definitely tell on the fare for the passengers that those vehicles are conveying. And big industries that are plugged in onto this before now would definitely, if there's no hide and seek about that, that is going to affect the production cost or whatever they are using that CNG to produce, and it's going to still tell on the Nigerian economy. We have to say the truth. On the side of the government, I think I call it a bold step, maybe a daring step, if you allow me to use the word. Just like the way government treated the removal of petrol subsidy. You remember that it happened at a very critical time when this government was coming on board. This one is happening, a few months to the general election, and it tells you that it's so daring. But one thing that we all need to know is that it is not going to affect everybody, because not everybody has been able to plug in onto the CNG initiative by the government. But definitely this will affect those that have plugged in already, and those that are not plugged in will think twice before plugging in into that, because now there's this feeling that the petrol you are running away from, we are likely to run back to that petrol.
Well, let's also look at, for many Nigerians, they had looked at this as an alternative that would actually bring about succor, especially looking at the fact that the fuel prices had surged And all of a sudden, we're starting to see the gas price or CNG also increase. Where do Nigerians go to? And isn't it worrisome that the federal government has all of a sudden just kept quiet and, like many have noticed, secretly, or you'd say surprisingly, the prices have gone up, and there seems to be no clarity as to why subsidies were removed while we're still struggling with the one of fuel?
Okay. This is one of the aspects that I think the government has not done well, in my own judgment. Other people may see government doing fantastically well, in that aspect. But the aspect that I consider government that the government can do far better is that aspect of communication. Most times, communication around policies of government, it has been lacking most times. And this one now, there's nothing wrong in government coming out clear. Remember that of petrol subsidy. It was the president that announced it publicly. Everyone at Eagle Square that day had that. Everyone that is watching TV across the world that day had that. So having this one now, this removal of subsidy as reported, without proper communication to Nigerians, those that are already using CNG and those that are yet to use CNG, I think that aspect government needs to improve, on that. There's something, if you want to look at it, if government is saying is spending on CNG, to subsidize a few people that are already plugged in onto that is too much, and they want to redefine their economic policy around that, it's not wrong. But, government keeping quiet about that, I think it sends a very, not so palatable signal to everyone, including those in government, because fact remains that government has done things, in their judgment that they think is to the betterment of Nigerians. Because, like I said earlier, those that are plugged in onto this CNG, are not so many. Of course, they are Nigerians and their interests are supposed to be taken care of, proper care of. Remember, there are, people that have already even invested in the CNG stations.
All right, Mr. Yusuf,
Huge amount of money, maybe $1 So it is not so right for government to now, do those things without proper communication. I know you can't blame the president, but there are some people that are getting salaries, that are getting, a lot of financial support, because their job is to communicate government policy. So I think government has not done, something applaudable in that aspect. Nigerians need to know what's going on, particularly things that will definitely affect them. I've been saying it, government has not been doing so well.
All right, Mr. Yusuf, please, we'd like you to just hold your thoughts there before you complete it. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'd like to hear some more from you, all right? So stay with us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still speaking about the increase in CNG price, and we have Mr. Adeola Yusuf still on the line with us. Thank you very much for staying tuned for the conversation. Now let's talk about what the projections are for CNG. You've said it's not right that the government has kept silent about this, and citizens of course are complaining because we had hoped the CNG would be a cheaper alternative. It hasn't turned out to be so. There are those who have expressed fears that sooner than later we might start to see that CNG would cost almost the same as petrol, or that there'll be just a slight difference, which will not be fair. Is that a valid concern?
Okay, it is a valid concern, and I will say without mincing words that what is playing out now, is a real price of CNG, because you need to balance it with that statement. What we have been having before now is a subsidized price of CNG, but now we're having the real price, just like in the case of petrol. That if you drive into a filling station to buy at that amount that you are buying the international price of that product without any subsidy. So what is coming out now is for us to see the real price that CNG is being traded. But the question that a lot of people are asking is that because of the fact that Nigeria is a gas producer, like I said earlier, we are sitting on proving over 260, around that figure, trillion standard cubic feet of gas. And if you go to acreages around the Niger Delta, where oil production is taking place, you see gas, this same gas being pledged, being burned into the atmosphere. So those that are having that, concern, they have concern at the very valid. Okay, of course, Nigeria has gas. Then why do we need to now even be using international, price to buy the CNG, LPG, and all that? But fact remains that despite the fact that Nigeria has gas, because I know about, there is this, infrastructure deficit that Nigeria is still trying to, play around. Nigeria is still trying to, overcome, and Nigeria is still trying to fix. So the price we have now is the real price.
Okay.
Anyway, just to clarify things as well, in a communique that's been released by the federal government has said that there's no subsidy on CNG. And they've gone ahead. In short, the president of the Compressed Natural Gas Initiative, PCNGI, has clarified that the federal government does not provide subsidies on compressed natural gas, CNG, following the recent hike in pump prices by some operators. It says that it's actually a case of, it's actually in the hands of not the federal government, but of course in the hands of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA. And they're the ones who fix prices, that the government is just to ensure that they do not exploit Nigerians. And all of this only makes me wonder if they are not aware that the prices are way higher than what was promised. Because if you're selling at 430 from 230 and it's gone up to about 430 naira, for instance, 430 naira, if you take away a few, just like 100% of that will actually lead you to buying fuel. And Nigerians were indeed trying to ensure that they get their gas, their cars to be CNG compatible, so that they can at least reduce the amount of gases that they buy.
That it should be considerably cheaper.
The 230 naira was not bad. It was fair for a few
it was decent.
Nigerians.
It was decent.
It was decent. And everyone, the only issue they had was they did not have a lot of stations. They didn't have enough stations to go around. Because like I did mention here some months ago, one of the stations we have close by in Ikeja is one you have at Agidimbi Road, Agidimbi Axis. And that is the one that is taking care of everybody within the Ikeja Axis, down to, if you move from Agidimbi Stretch down to Tony Street, everybody coming down to that place as well. And then you wonder, how long? And now 430 naira. Anyway,
Well,
that's the federal government's statement. In a statement by PCNGI, they explained that pricing decisions are solely at the discretion of private sector players, while stressing that government agencies will continue to guard against exploitation of consumer. And we do hope that they can jump into this right now, because this is starting to look very, very precarious and very indeed, it's tough. But let's move away from this story. We want to thank Mr. Adeola for having joined us. Unfortunately, the network situation did not allow us to end that interview on a very final note.